You are listening to Well Met, a Hearthstone podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com.
Well met.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 23 of Well Met. We're a Hearthstone podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com. We've got a packed show, and I promise we're not going 2 hours on your podcast feed this week. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm John, of course. I'm always here pushing the buttons every week, and I've got an all-star team with me this week. So first, all the way from Saskatoon, Canada, it's Kevin Hovdestad. Hey, Kevin.
How's it going, John?
Dude, I'm great. Feel great?
That's awesome.
It feels like we're getting done early this week, or like we're getting started earlier this week, or just things don't feel so chaotic. So I feel really good.
Yeah, we get things like under control this time. We know what's going down. We're not going to have a 2-hour show.
Yep. No major glitches, things like that. So that's all working out. Next we have from Kansas City, wearing his Royals hat, of course, like he should. It's JR Cook. Hey, JR.
Hey, John. So where's your Royals hat?
Dude, so busy this week. I promise. I promise it's coming. I'm not chickening out. I'm not.
Excuse every week.
I promise you I will have that Royals hat or jersey or something on. There is a really cool shirt on Teespring I almost bought today, actually. So, cool. Well, boys, all the TGT cards are revealed and everything. So, let's go ahead and jump in how we did on the ladder this week before we dive into the abyss of TGT and Hearthstone meta and all that stuff. JR, how'd you do on the ladder?
Where was I last week? Because that's where I am now. I haven't had a chance to play it all this week. This week's been super busy like you, but I still at least have a Royals hat on. So
if I owned one, I'd wear it.
But no, it was like work was just like we had a release this week and it didn't go well. The first one in like 6 months that didn't go as well as planned, mostly because our production server shut down. That was fun. In the middle of the deploy, of all things.
Of course, that's how it goes. So,
yeah. And then mother-in-law came in town this weekend. So you know that's always a good time. Smacked my head on the door earlier today, getting into my car. I probably have a concussion. I don't know, maybe. So you know, it's good times here in Kansas City.
Rock solid week.
But at least the Royals won, so you know that's cool.
In other words, you didn't do much in the ladder, though, huh?
No, I didn't do anything. I just beat myself up and had bad things happen.
Yeah, you got beat up this week. Kevin, did you get beat up in the ladder this week?
Not terribly. It's been kind of slow. Anybody you talk to, you hear kind of the same thing. Everybody's struggling. The ladder is really busy. There's a ton of crazy things happening. People are running all sorts of offbeat, weird anti-meta decks. Things are crazy out there. It's chaos, man. I don't know. But I was able to get up to like rank 12, rank 11 range running like a hybrid druid deck. So it's not a wall druid. It's not a combo druid. It's kind of a little bit of both. And then I switched to Firebat's Mech Mage and got up to about rank 9 with that. I'm still trying to make that work. But yeah, it's nuts. Like I have no idea now when I queue up what I'm going to see for decks anymore, which is really, I mean, it's awesome, but it's odd that it happened pre-TGT. I sort of thought the meta would just stay the course until we got the new cards and then go bananas. So
it's bananas for sure.
Yeah.
So what about on your end, dude?
Yeah, as for me, so I kind of did the same thing as you. So Mech Mage, I'm going to let you guys all know right now, the Chinese server, well, I guess Asia Pacific server, there's a Mech Mage list going around with Fel Reavers. If you want to try to get a heads up on the ladder and get up into those single digits before TGT hits in the patch with ranked rewards, that's the deck I would do. I think mid-range Hunter is still really good if you're comfortable. Mid-range Druid, but I've been running Mech Mage. It's been super fun. I'm now 40-9 this season, so I haven't got to play a whole lot yet. Like I'm only 50 games into my season, but that's an insane win rate, right? That's what. 80%?
And what are you at rank wise?
Just 9.
Okay, yeah.
Just kind
It's
of.
not bad.
No, no. So yeah, so that's what I'm recommending this week. So yeah. Well, anything else you guys want to talk about before we jump into the news?
I think we got a lot to dive into this week. So
Yeah,
faster
all
we
right.
get to it, the better.
News it is.
This week in Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
All right. First off, we just want to thank the folks over at Fade to Karma who are sponsoring the show this week. If you guys ever get a chance, hop over to fadetokarma.com. They've got awesome stuff. They do an awesome meta report every week that I think is turning into one of my favorites that I'm looking at every week. So fadetokarma.com. And as they're working with us, any Patreon supporter in the month of August, $5 or more will be put into a drawing to win an hour of free coaching with a member of the Fade to Karma team. So you can go ahead and check that out. And of course, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/wellmetpodcast. Well, let's go ahead and get into the news. So obviously, we had the huge reveal, a data dump of information on us as all the cards are now up in the open. TGT is fully splitting our minds open with all these new cards. What do you guys on the stream itself? What did you guys think? Do you guys get a chance to catch it or watch any of the VODs, Kev?
Yeah, so I mean, I watched pretty well the whole presentation. I thought it was kind of unfortunate because I feel like Frodo did a great job hosting the show, but I feel like some of those show matches maybe didn't go as well as they could have because there were some pretty obvious misplays. Chat was freaking out pretty badly during the show, but definitely a just super cool like presentation again. Really awesome to have Ben Brode in there, kind of like dropping little tidbits and telling us a little bit more about some of the like design decisions and like why they're so excited about certain cards. Really cool show in that respect. JR, what did you think?
No, I really enjoyed it too. I had a chance to actually watch it because I had that Friday off. And I was sitting there taking screen caps of the cards and popping them out on Twitter as soon as they came out, and I had a lot of fun doing that. I really enjoyed the stream. I enjoyed Ben Brode talking about the cards and the insights and stuff. I enjoyed Frodan making the dumbest mistakes I've ever seen a player make.
He's a legend player too. It's the funny part.
But it was just entertaining, though. I mean,
yeah, he's awesome.
I mean, you're seeing the cards for the first time. You're playing through. You got a stream with hundreds of thousands of people watching it, and you're playing it all through for the first time, trying to be entertaining. Of course, you're not thinking like a top tier player at that point. Your mind is on being entertaining rather than making good plays, but it made it fun, and that's what I liked about it. And I like the format of here are some cards that, we're going to see get played, and we're going to play through the decks, and then at the end they're going to reveal, deck or cards that were in those decks that you didn't get to see. So I really like that format. It was better than some of the past formats that they have done like this.
Did you guys happen to see how many viewers it capped at?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember. It was not huge. Like there might have been 40,000 people, something like that. Like it wasn't
really?
It wasn't massive the way that the actual expansion reveal was, because that was unbelievable. Like 250,000 people sitting there watching that be unveiled was mind-boggling. But no, I mean, like it was a big crew considering it's like daytime on a weekday and all they're doing is, in theory, releasing a dozen cards or whatever. So even like for that alone to have that kind of viewership was startling to me.
JR, I have to hand it to you, sir. So I believe I might be mistaken, but BlizzPro sent out this awesome GIF of Ben Brode from the Night of the Roxbury guys. Was that you made that, right?
Yeah.
That is the best thing I have ever seen. Somebody grab that and put it in chat, please. And then that one's definitely going into the show notes. Like, that was incredible. It's like Ben Brode, he's doing like this neck rolling thing, and he puts him right in with Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell from Night of the Roxbury. Right, Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell? No. Chris Kattan and who's the other guy? Oh, well. Anyways.
I don't remember his name.
This is what IMDb is for.
Right. No Night of the Roxbury
years ago.
Talk here. All right. Gosh. All right. So, yes, huge reveal. I thought it was awesome. I got to go ahead and check it again. Ben Brode, every time I talk, like, it's super inspiring. I find like he's just like an inspiring dude. So props to that guy because
no, he's a really cool guy. I mean, every time I've talked to him, he's just really down to earth and just likes being around people and talking to people, and he treats everybody the same. He's awesome. I like him.
Yeah, cool. the whole dev team is great for that. All the designers, all the producers. I mean, honestly, like the only criticism I've ever heard that I think is in any way accurate is just they have a tendency to dodge questions a little bit. Like they have a tendency to skirt around questions because they're trying to hold stuff back. They're trying to stagger their reveals and pace stuff themselves. They have a plan for when they're going to tell us things, so they're always really leery about tipping their hat early. And fair enough, I guess. But other than that, no, like I loved the guy. I loved talking to him. I loved hanging out with like Eric Dodds at PAX, Yang Wu, like all those guys were super fun to get to know, and just they're all so incredibly excited about what they do, which you can't help but have it rub off on you. Like when do you remember playtesting Blackrock Mountain at PAX? Yeah. Like I don't think I've ever been as excited about Hearthstone as I was for those like 2 hours.
Yeah, and just even like me when I was at there, and like Jeffrey Kaplan was playing right next to me, and he was like playing Blackrock Mountain in the station next to me, and we were chatting and stuff. Just any of those. I mean, yeah, he's not a Hearthstone developer, but Overwatch, and was the game director for a while, for a long time. Just any of those guys is just so much fun to talk to.
Totally.
Nice. This is a really good question. I think a little bit on point. Someone asked in the chat room, who is it? Etsoe says, how many packs are you guys going to open for this next expansion? I think this is a good thing to talk about before we start jumping into some big boy news here. So, Kev, how many packs are you planning on opening up to just to like crack into the expansion?
And it's funny, like normally I would have said I'll buy 20 and just like check it out. But no, like at this point, I have basically a complete card collection, give or take on a couple dozen cards. And almost every non-legendary, I have all of those. So it's like, I'll probably go straight in. I'll go down for like 90 to 100 packs and just try to get as much, if not all of the set as I can. I've got a little over 4,000 dust saved up already to craft any of the legendaries I want that I don't get. So probably 100, yeah. JR?
How many can you buy as the most? Like, I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think 60.
Is it 60 for like $70 or
something like that? Yeah,
something like that.
It's 50 for 60 or 60 for 70. One of those two.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that twice.
40 for 60,
and then I already have my 50 packs.
60 for
the
40.
pre-purchase. So whatever that ends up adding up to, that's what I'll be buying.
Nice. I'm starting out with my 50, but I'll probably throw in another big batch, so somewhere around 100 to 120 or whatever that is. So we're all right in there. We're just gonna throw money at it. So
that's what I've done every expansion so far.
I double checked. 60 for 70 is the biggest one. So
60 for 70.
So I'll be opening up 170 packs when it comes out.
Unreal. That's a lot of packs. Somebody was saying online earlier, and I thought it was a really good comment, that like when TGT goes live would be a great time to be able to spectate your friends opening packs, because so many people are going to have 50 to open right away, plus whatever else they buy. What a great time to be able to watch your friends open their packs and like get excited for them.
Maybe we should stream our pack openings.
I've considered it.
Cool.
That'd be a lot of fun. Just all of us do it in sequence.
Yeah,
just like sit and we'll open card packs for an hour and a half and see who gets the best card.
That's what we're gonna do it. Let's try to do it on
day. Let's try to make that happen.
All right, done and done. All right, let's go ahead really quick. JR, you want to take us through this next thing? I guess we've got something about a Hearthstone API coming out.
Yeah, so on the forums, someone was asking, like, dear API developers, as this game is 1.5 years old now, isn't it time to open up possibility to create some nice community websites with player profiles data, like season rankings, asking for basically an API. And Andonian, who's a Battle.net developer at Blizzard, did reply, yes, it is. We're hopeful that Hearthstone APIs will be arriving very soon.
TM, right?
Yeah, TM.
But soon is not just regular soon, right?
That's true.
That's true. Well, it's very soon, TM, not
capital
soon,
V,
TM.
very soon, yeah.
Yeah. So the APIs are a very exciting thing, in my opinion, because basically what an API is it allows developers to get into as John falls asleep as I start talking developer speak here. Basically, it allows developers to access data, Blizzard's data on various things that Blizzard will make public. So if I'm running a website, I can access Blizzard's data and pull back all the card information, everything that has to do with cards. That's one of the things I can do. Potentially, I'd be able to access maybe player profiles, maybe allow players to see the decks that they have created, maybe bring back stats on how they've played, maybe be able to see player rankings and things like that on how they've been doing in North America, Europe, and Asia. So, there's a lot of cool things that developers might be able to do with this API. I tried to make it easy to understand, and I hope that I did. But
I'd like to provide some perspective, right? Like when they've opened up APIs in other games, that's how third-party developers are able to go in and pull data to make like ranking sites or like all of the tools that exist, everything you've ever touched that you use for a Blizzard game that basically doesn't require you to upload something yourself. Like if you have to upload a replay or some kind of data file, that's not API calls. But like if you hit up ranking sites for StarCraft, if you hit up any of the tools that pull character information from World of Warcraft, like all of that is done using API hooks, all of the like guild auditing tools and achievement checkers and all these things. Like, and there's no reason to think right now that in Hearthstone we wouldn't get a whole bunch of that same stuff. Like you can see exactly what cards you're missing and quickly link that to somebody. Like I would guess that some of the big sites like Hearthhead that have all the database stuff in place already will be able to hit the API, pull what cards you have out of the like server data, and now when you're browsing through deck lists, you'll just see a little green check mark next to the ones that you can use because you already have all those cards. Like it's going to be really cool stuff when it exists.
Yep. And like right now, like if I wanted to create a database, I would have to go in and manually add every card myself, along with the images, along with the data, what casting cost it is, what type it is, etc. As the game gets bigger, that's going to be more cumbersome. With these APIs, I can basically write like 4 lines of code and return all the cards back and be able to filter them as I wish. And so that would save me as a developer a ton of time.
Well, I cannot wait for those tools for you nerds to make a cool website for me to actually just use and enjoy. I really appreciate that. So thank you for that.
And that's the real benefit is on the user standpoint. There's going to be a lot of cool websites that are going to come out because of that.
Oh yeah, all the like deck tracking and all the statistics and stuff that people have been trying to sort of like cobble together themselves. It's all just going to happen like auto magically now. It's going to be super nice.
Now I can't lie about my rank to you guys anymore. Truth is, I've never broke rank 15. So, whoops. Truth
comes out.
Yeah, no more lying.
This season, I wouldn't even be surprised. Breaking rank 15 right now is a project.
I got to single digits already, so I'm feeling good about that.
You and me both, yeah.
So cool. Well, let's go ahead then and rack up some tournament news really quick, and then we're going to jump right into TGT. So 2 big tournaments really this week. We had ATLC, of course, and then PvP Live finished up. This week we had Tempo Storm take down Nihilum, creating a nasty tie, essentially, up in first place. Nihilum, Tempo Storm kind of started off slow. Now they're in first place with 32 wins and 24 losses. Team Celestial is defeated again, this time by Fours and Boys, eliminating them from the next stage of the tournament, and there's nothing they can do now. They cannot make it to the next bracket. So, man, they only got 19 wins, and they're 8 wins behind the next team. And that's through 6 weeks, right, of at least 6 wins, which means that they average just over 3 wins a week, which is not very good at all. Cloud9 took down Team Archon, so Team Archon stressing a little bit at 3-3. Valiant Town takes down Team Liquid. Team Liquid also just really struggling. And then this next week is the last week of the round robin stage before we go into the satellite stage. I believe the top 2 teams in the round robin stage go immediately to the finals. So that first and second place is going to be super important. Then we also have PvP Live. We have a 4-way tie for 8th place between RDU, Kranich, Era, and Caldi. So that's going to be going on this week, I believe. Dog ended up clinching first place, going 11-4. Purple Zalay and Show all tie for 2nd place, and the entire season has been seeding for the LAN event that's going to happen soon. So stay tight for that because it will be coming soon. Anything else you think I'm missing here, guys? Any comments on that? Good.
Nope. I mean, that's the high notes for the esports scene this week.
Hammered them.
Like we said last week, right? At this point, we're all just kind of waiting for month end to see the seeding into the BlizzCon regionals. That's really what I'm at this point like excited for, is seeing how everybody sort of finishes out that way.
Yeah, that's just BlizzCon stuff. Like, is just the fireside gatherings next week, right? And then figuring out how people place before they go to their championships, which I think there's a North America qualifier next month in September. And then I think the America's Championship, now I don't know when the Europe and Asia ones fall, but the American one is in October. And then that's when we finally figure out who's going to be playing at BlizzCon, right?
Well, yeah, because there'll be the ladder snapshot and then the last chance qualifier, which all feeds into the individual regionals, and each region has a set number of slots that feed back into the actual BlizzCon tournament.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
Nuts. Totally nuts. And BlizzCon this year is going to be so competitive. Like, it was cool last year, but way less cards, way less players, way less everything.
Yeah.
Guess who got all of his tickets and stuff for BlizzCon this week?
This guy. That's so exciting. So that means we're all going now officially, right?
We are all going to be there.
Nice.
And more news about that to come, hopefully. So yeah, maybe some exciting stuff coming up. So yeah, we booked it up, all doing it, and got it at a great price too. So not the tickets. Tickets were face, but like flights and hotel. Katie spent 3 months in California for a little job thing, and she was able to use her Starwood hotel points every night, even though like the company was paying for it. She got to like swipe the card, so she had 3 months worth of Starwood cards or Starwood stays. So it's gonna be awesome. All right, sorry, I had to digress for a moment. Well,
it's a good digression.
Okay, shall we go ahead and start talking some TGT?
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yep.
Sorry, I had to do that one. That was my favorite bumper I think we've ever made so far. So, yes, TGT has been fully unleashed and is upon us. So let's go ahead. Before we jump into the cards, Kev, do you want to give us kind of a breakdown of what we've seen now as like an entire set? Do you have those numbers? I know you were posting about them earlier.
Yeah. So, great. I mean, we knew going into Friday that we were getting the tail end of the set. A handful, I think like 12 or 14 of them were revealed on stream, and then the majority were then also released after that in 3 batches on Facebook. So of the 132 playable cards in the new set, 54 were announced just on Friday. In total, effectively half the set was announced this week, with the inclusion of the Warrior and Mage legendaries and some of the other cards that came out through community sites earlier in the week. Like, basically, this is the entirety of the back half of the set that we have to address this week, and positions us for the set to go live pretty much any time. My guess is at this point it's not going to be until closer to like 24th, 25th, just because we haven't been given a release date. But tons of cards to talk about, tons of cool stuff. And just for everybody's clarity, we're going to stick to the ones that we think are going to have big impact, because trying to talk about every card, like if we talked about each one of them for 10 seconds a piece per person on the show, we'd still be overtime. So we're just going to go through the high point ones that are really exciting.
And I just want to say, I think this is going live tomorrow. Monday. Kevin and I both disagreed with this all week.
Yeah, so. we've had this conversation. Traditionally, for all of the other things that have come out, whether it's the adventure modes or the previous expansion in Goblins vs. Gnomes, Blizzard has given us like 6 days notice, right? Like, they always tell you it's going live on X day. We've got a big patch coming in, like a big downtime on Battle.net happening this coming Tuesday, which would be the correct time to load up the last of the data files and get all the stuff ready on the servers for it, which would mean that it would come out like sometime. Well, so do I. But then why not say we're going to launch it this week? Like, there's no way. I can't imagine a world in which they don't give us some kind of heads up, right? Like, they have to tell people. The whole esports community would lose its shit if they did this in the middle of ATLC and PvP Live and all these other tournaments with no warning whatsoever. That's crazy. They can't do that anymore.
It might be up in the air because of the whole, you got to wait for the mobile versions, to kind of hit at the same time. They might be having to wait. So they might be we're going to plan on doing it this week, but we can't announce it because something might go wrong and we have to do it next week.
Right. And traditionally, haven't they also released Hearthstone stuff not on Tuesdays, but like later in the week? Like it's usually like Thursday.
No, they've been releasing them on Monday. Goblins vs. Gnomes came out on a Monday, and I believe Blackrock Mountain came out on a Monday. I don't have those stats in front of me, so I can't be 100%.
Yeah, because the weekly Blackrock Mountain openings were on Thursdays. I remember that.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So,
yeah, but Goblins vs. Gnomes was on a Monday.
Yeah, and Goblins vs. Gnomes did have that first week where people could play with the cards in Arena before it actually hit live too. So
yeah, and that's the other thing. Like I think if it doesn't go this week, because they announced all the cards, I think that one of two scenarios is going to happen. They're going to release it this week, or they're going to allow maybe the Tavern Brawl might be something Grand Tournament related. Yeah. Maybe they might make the Arena allow you to have cards in there or something like that, because I don't see a scenario where Blizzard announces all of the cards and then has a week of nothing before.
Yeah, pump the hype train up to full steam and then just sort of let it coast with nothing for 10 days. Like, no, I agree with that, obviously, but I'm just not thinking we're going to see it live in Constructed tomorrow.
That's where we're going to see the new heroes this next week. To your point, Kev.
Okay, see, and this is something I meant to talk about, and I was going to raise it earlier, but yeah, I'm really shocked that they haven't announced any more alternate characters. Like, that was such a big feature, and I know it was kind of like a content gap filler between Blackrock Mountain and this, alongside, obviously, Tavern Brawl, which was also a great sort of update to the game, but it just struck me as very odd that, like, they announced a character, and then they quickly announced 2 more, so there was going to be a set of 3 that came out, and then nothing. Like, just nothing. And I don't know off the top of my head how many people have bought alternate heroes, but you certainly see a decent number of them on the ladder. And it seems like if one of those 3 classes is not your personal favorite that you're holding out to buy alternates, why Blizzard wouldn't want to keep those coming? Like, they're not huge, complicated things, right? It's like it's one set of art animations, one set of voice acting. And I know that's not like a zero amount of work, but presumably at the time that they were working on the first set, they were probably working on the rest of them too, right?
I think they're just trying to spread them out. And I think you're right. I think we're due for another set of like 2 or 3. But I think they just, in order to get people to buy more, you can't launch them all at once, right? Otherwise,
yeah.
There'll be a group that buy all 9 and then we'll buy like 1 or 2, right? And then like forget about it and the novelty wears off.
I think we'll see.
And we're all getting squeezed right now for the 50 packs and all these other things too, like with the pre-order and everything else. Like, they just got to kind of wait, right? And then like in 6 weeks, it'll be like, okay, the initial rush on TGT is over. Here's new like druid, shaman, and priest or whatever.
I was going to say, I think in like sometime between now and BlizzCon.
Well, that would be like 6 weeks.
3 more, right? We'll see 3 more
for sure. Okay.
All right, boys, let's go ahead and talk about some cards here. Sound good?
Yeah.
So let's try to
neutrals first.
So yeah, we're going to be a little bit organized this week rather than just kind of like, splitter splatter all these cards everywhere. We're going to start with neutrals, work with the highest rarity and go down. So we're going to start with some neutral legendaries here. So we've got Chillmaw, Ice Howl, and both Ram Shield. Any in particular you guys want to take right away, or should we just go down the line?
Just go down the list.
All right. Chillmaw, 7 mana, 6/6 neutral legendary dragon that reads Taunt, Death Rattle. If you are holding a dragon, deal 3 damage to all minions. JR, you go first. You like this card?
Probably could be referred to as the Grim Patron Killer in a way. I don't think it's actually going to see that kind of play, though. I think it's a decent card. It's another dragon, which is good. I want to see more dragons. I could see this going in some kind of dragon control warrior deck.
All right.
I like the card. Whether it's playable or not, that's to be seen.
Kev?
I mean, when we talked about the Blackrock Mountain cards, the one thing that I was really disappointed in was that in the Dragon tribe, there was nothing with Taunt. That stuck out to me like a sore thumb. And in this set, this isn't the only dragon with Taunt. There are actually more than one dragon cards in this set that have Taunt. So I think it's awesome in that respect because it does sort of open up a lot of things for the dragon archetype. The fact that you have to be holding a dragon to trigger the death rattle kind of sucks. And I think that's a liability, and they probably did that because otherwise, frankly, this card would just be way too powerful. It would be Abomination on steroids, and they had to have some kind of drawback. Plus, that's sort of like the theme of the whole tribe is that dragon synergy comes from cards in your hand. That's
they
how
stay
the whole
together.
Yeah, well, and even the things where like dragons can get buffs cast on them, like it's all based on things that are in your hand. So that's how the whole tribe synergizes. Whereas like mech, for example, was predominantly cards on the board and spare parts and stuff like that. So it's thematically consistent. It's really cool. Neat competitor for the 7 slot. I don't know if it's enough to displace something like Dr. Boom, but I like it. I'm just with JR. I don't know that it's super playable. What do you think?
I'm kind of in the same route. I think already it's hard enough to hold a dragon. Now, assuming you play this on curve and you have, Chromagus or a Ysera or Alexstrasza or something in there, like that's the ideal. But in the end, I mean, dealing 3 damage to all your minions is kind of a lot, right? This is just kind of like a Baron Geddon on steroids, and you already know in a control warrior how, sometimes that can really backfire. The downside with this one, though, is it's a death rattle, too, so your opponent does get a little bit of control in playing around that card a bit, too, right? Especially if it ends up being a staple. I think it's a fine card. To all things, we have a really good email we're going to talk about later about, why it's so hard to be really optimistic about cards. But when you look at the 7 slot, you have such strong cards. Well, you have Dr. Boom. Okay. Let's be wrong. Dr.
There it is. Let's be honest.
That's tough to say this is better than Dr. Boom. It's tough to run multiple 7s. I think Druid is probably the only one who can do it. And it's mainly because they can ramp out 7s on turn, 5, 6, and 7. And so, I don't know. It's fine. I don't think it'll ever see any serious play. Fair? Next.
It's a good card. We just got to find a way to make it work. That's
right.
That's
and that's a lot of these, right?
Right. Well, some, not all. Not this next one.
Not this next one. Ice Howl, 9 mana neutral legendary, 10 attack, 10 health, reads charge, cannot attack heroes. Okay. Kev, where do you land on this one? You're the guy who's ready to speak out on it.
It's awful. It's actually awful. That's such a huge drawback. You basically have to be able to silence it because for 9 mana, not to be dropping a board impact that actually ends the game. Yes, you can play this and kill Ragnaros with it or something, but that has that doesn't even help you catch up because it doesn't pose a threat. Your opponent, unless you can silence this on your own side of the board, your opponent's just going to ignore it. It's not maybe goes 2 for 1, which on 9 you need something that goes 2 for 1, and preferably it's something that threatens the board. I would way rather play basically any other 9 mana card. Basically any other 9 mana card in the whole game than Ice Howl.
All right. That's fair. JR, what about you?
Do not silence this the turn that you drop it. Otherwise, you will have sadness.
Nothing but a priest could even do that, really.
Unless, with Thaurissan and stuff.
Thaurissan or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because you will have sadness because it will no longer have charge. Because you'll go, oh, I'm going to get hit 10 to the face. And then your turn will end in mass disappointment.
Right.
Yeah. But no, I'm with Kevin. I just am not a big fan of this card. This card would be something like, I hate this one minion in particular, so I'm going to smash it for 10 damage. And even then, I still wouldn't use the card.
Yeah. I think
no, it's removal with a body, but the body doesn't help you. I would rather just play removal.
True. If I needed a Pyroblast, I would just run on Pyroblast is kind of, what I do. And that one at least lets me just go to the hero's face. Although 10 mana, to be fair, it's 1 mana different. Again, like there are some cool fringe opportunities for this card to be cool, but this is a Tavern Brawl card. This is not a
or arena or whatever. But like we talked about this last week too with the previous set of cards. It's an edge case card. It's the kind of card where yes, I can absolutely sit here and I can math out like the 4 possible ways that we can make it work and have it be super powerful. But yes, you probably need to like play Aviana, get Ice Howl on the board, throw down Mogre the Ogre, and have it accidentally hit face. Like, in what world is that your win condition?
Making that deck right now, actually. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to spoil it.
Well, kind of did. So there goes my chance at Legend next month. I really appreciate that. Bolf Ram Shield, 6 mana, neutral legendary, 3 attack, 9 health. Whenever your hero takes damage, this minion takes it instead. I think this is really cool. I think this is a really cool card. I really like it, and I think this with Kel'Thuzad might be like really, really, really cool and really strong. That's my synergy I'm calling. This card and Kel'Thuzad, I think like as a druid, imagine, ramping this out, or getting it on 6 and then ramping out Kel'Thuzad and then just wrecking. So I really like it. I think it has a few decks where it could be really cool in. It's not the next Dr. Boom. It's not the next utility legendary. But I think this card is really cool and really fun. And I think for the stats, it's really strong. Passes vanilla test. It's not weak. It's not super strong. 3 attack is a little bit weak, but given that it essentially kind of has like taunt on steroids a little bit, I'm a really big fan. JR, what about you?
Yeah, it's the anti-face hunter card. I mean, that's basically it. You're essentially giving yourself 9 extra health against aggro. And then if you can keep it alive even past that, even more. If you like you said, if you drop this in Kel'Thuzad against any kind of aggro face deck, game over. It's done. You just when they concede.
Kev, tell us why we're wrong.
Yeah,
you're not. I honestly, this is a card this is a card I intend to run in basically every deck that has sort of true endgame as its goal, right? Every time I play Priest, Control Paladin, like basically any deck where you expect to go to fatigue or very close to it, this is one of the best cards in the game. I don't know how it's going to interact with fatigue damage. Like, I don't know if it would take your fatigue damage for you, because that hasn't traditionally been the case. Like, fatigue cuts through ice block and a bunch of other things. But basically, this is a card, especially in Priest, where if you can buff it, if you can keep it alive, if you can taunt it up, if you can heal it, even just the ability to absorb 9 damage on turn 6 is crazy. Like, there's nothing you can play outside of 2 shield blocks would be the only other way to absorb that much damage on 6 mana.
And
this leaves a big body on the board.
And then, it's kind of like you have 9 armor, and then you have a weapon that when people attack you, they take damage until they chip off your armor, right? I mean, that's essentially what it is. Plus, you can taunt it. Plus, you can do all that other stuff and cool card synergy. So
yeah, and I think it trades efficiently with almost every 6-drop in the game, except for like vanilla 6/7s and stuff like that would be the only thing that actually kill it like 1-to-1, basically.
Boulder Fist Ogre new meta. Got it.
Exactly.
All right. So I'm glad we're happy about both. What do you think, JR?
Dude Abiding in the chat room asked, would this work with Warlock hero power? And I believe so.
Yes, it does.
It works with any time that your hero takes damage, and it also will absorb excess damage.
Yep.
So if you would hit for 10 on a Pyroblast, like, it'll kill both, but that 1 point of excess damage will not hit your hero. It just fizzles.
Right. So any overkill is not transferred. Great. Awesome. Anything else we can think about for these legendaries here?
I mean, Bolf is maybe the first thing in a long time that might get me to run Faceless.
Ooh, I like Faceless.
Because only one of them takes damage at a time, right? That's been confirmed already. So if you could get 2 or 3 of these guys on the board, like, they're pretty sticky. They're
Does
hard
it
to
go
remove.
based on what was played first, I'm guessing, then? So the one that's played first is...
order of operations, yeah.
Cool. That could be really cool with Priest, too, with, like, Velens, stuff like that. I don't know if one of you guys already said that, but, like, Velens and okay, yeah, I'm excited. I'm more excited than I even was before.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun card to play around. I think a lot of people are going to try really hard to make it work in decks that slow the meta down.
Totally. Let's go ahead and talk about some neutral epics here. We got 2 that we're going to talk about this evening. First one, the Sideshow Spell Eater. It's a 6 mana, 6/5 neutral epic with a battle cry. Copy your opponent's hero power. Kev, take this one first. Oh, yeah, analytic one.
One conditional thing to note right away is it does not copy the current hero power that your opponent has. It copies their starting hero power. So you will not get the benefit of Justicar Trueheart from this. You will not get Shadow Form from this. You will not get if you
Jiraxis.
have Jiraxis, the Ragnaros hero power, any of that stuff. It's only the starting hero power. So that's a drawback, I think. When I saw the card, I was super excited because I thought this would be an incredible counter to Handlock. It would be an awesome way to basically, be able to take advantage of the better hero power of your opponent in the event that, for example, you queue up as like Face Hunter and you run into Control Warrior. You could just steal that 4 armor, return hero power after they Justicar Trueheart, and be able to sort of like help yourself extend into the late game. So the fact that it doesn't do that makes it less exciting for me, but still very interesting. Because there's lots of times where you have the weaker hero power of the 2 between yourself and your opponent, right? Like the way the game works out, you just know that when you load in. Like I, as anything but Warlock, often want the Warlock's hero power, especially if I'm playing like an aggro or mid-range deck. That ability to sort of have 2 top decks in the late game matters so much. Be able to steal it with a 6/5 body is pretty jar.
I'm not a big fan of ever playing this in constructed. In the 6th spot, I could see so many other things I want to play instead. I think someone in the chat room there said something that I did like about this would be very good in any kind of adventure mode. This would be pretty fun, actually, in some of the adventure modes. And now I'm excited to play this on some of the old ones that we have to kind of steal the other hero powers. That'd be kind of cool. So, what do you think, John?
I'm confused because we have an argument going on in the chat about how it works. So now I'm all second guessing, but I'm going to trust you guys here that it doesn't copy that stuff. And then overall, if it would say that though, why don't they say that copy your opponent's class's hero power or something like that to like differentiate? Because if it is the fact, then like, cool, if he's a shaman, he copies the shaman hero power and that would like negate any upgrades. If he's a warlock and he goes to Jiraxis, he's still a warlock, and so you would copy that hero power. So now we have to go ahead and fact check that. Either way, though, I think even if it does, outside of countering Jiraxis, I think it's pretty negligible overall. I think it dies too easy to too many 5 and 6 drops to be super, super powerful. Again, you're not getting it for the body anyway. And especially with like Inspire and stuff, your deck is typically built around kind of your hero power and how you can utilize it to be beneficial to you. And I don't know why you'd want to destroy that. So Inspire decks, in my opinion, are out. And then, yeah. So cool. It looks like we're getting some more info. Are we getting it in the chat?
Yeah, we'll come back to it. Let's just talk about this.
We're going to come back to it. All right. So anyways, I'm lukewarm on it. If it does do non-basic hero powers, obviously that makes it stronger for the most part, but still, I don't know if I'd ever run it. Seems a little complicated to try to work in. So
apparently, according to Rob on Twitter, Sideshow Spell Eater can copy non-base hero powers. So anything that's been buffed by Justicar Trueheart, Shadow Form, Die Insect, Lightning Jolt, all those things can be copied. So no clarification on how it would work in any of the PvE stuff. Like I don't think it'll work in adventure mode, but yeah, apparently I was just flat out wrong. It copies everything. So
Twitch chat for the win.
Yeah,
wow.
Very cool.
Either
Still
way,
worth noting, you're never going to run more than one of these cards.
Yeah, either
Best
way,
case scenario.
I'm not excited about it.
Yeah.
So
got it. So right, and it doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to Twilight Guardian here. It's a 4 mana, 2 attack, 6 health, dragon, neutral, epic that reads Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, gain +1 attack and taunt. Kevin, I believe you're the one who wanted to talk about this one first, so let's go ahead and let you take the floor.
Absolutely, yeah. So this was the card that was missing to make basically all of the dragon decks work, right? There are a few classes that have better dragon synergy than others. Priest and Warrior in particular jump to mind, as does Paladin to a lesser degree. Not having taunt dragons was one of the biggest drawbacks of the whole dragon tribe. And we talked about this a little bit with Chillmaw, but this is really the card that jumped out for me as if you were going to try to make, like, for example, Dragon Priest work. You had so many cool cards that allowed you to get way ahead of curve, basically, as long as you had something in hand for a dragon to play, like from turn 1 all the way up. You were going to play, the little Twilight Whelp, Blackwing Technician, all these things, like really powerful plays on their individual mana costs. Twilight Guardian is also a very powerful play for its mana cost. It's going to trade super efficiently. Like, if you could get this on the board and you've got a dragon in hand, you're getting an extra point of health compared to Ascension Shieldmaster and all of the other dragon synergy alongside it. Like, that's a scary good card, in my opinion, and basically what every dragon deck that might be able to run needs.
I feel like if it doesn't always has taunt, so I think you're right. I think we needed a taunt dragon. This satisfies me halfway, because you do have to be holding a dragon. There have been plenty of times where, I've had a what's the 5/4 that does 3 damage?
Blackwing Corruptor?
Blackwing Corruptor, thank you. One of the biggest downsides of that one is, like, if it's a vanilla, 5/4, it's meh overall. And I worry about this one there. Obviously, with more viable dragons, your likelihood of having more dragons in your hand, especially in that mid-range, is higher. But overall, I'm very tentative on this one. I want to love it. I want to hold it. I want to cuddle it. JR?
I don't have anything to add beyond what you guys have talked about.
Cool.
I agree with you guys 100%.
Let's jump down to Fencing Coach really quick. This is a neutral rare 3 mana, 2/2 Battle Cry. The next time you use your hero power, it costs 2 less. So in most cases, you get a free hero power. JR, you like this card?
I like it for the simple fact, like, I haven't really liked a lot of these hero power cards, but this one I really kind of dig because it's like, okay, it's a okay 3-drop. I mean, yeah, it's a 2/2, but it's a low enough cost that turn 4 I can drop a piloted shredder and do something with my hero power, and that's pretty cool.
Cool.
I was going to ask you what you thought, Kevin.
Yeah, so and my thing about it is that the thing that makes this card super powerful is not the fact that you would play it on curve, although if you had to, that would be fine. What makes it scary for me is you're going to throw this card down, and it acts like Dragon Consort in the sense that that buff is just in play until you use your hero power. So you're going to be able to combo this into, Garrison Commander with, Wilfred Fizzlebang or any of the other cards that have really good hero power synergy. So I think that basically you're not running it to play it on 3. You're running it to set up a big scary combo because it's an effect that persists beyond, your current turn or the next turn. It's an indefinite buff until you use your hero power. And that for me says that, like, in the mid to late game, you get the ability to have a turn that's really, really tempo aggressive. And you've had to sort of trade, for a 3-drop, you've traded 2-3 points of stats away on whatever turn you drop this on for that big benefit that combos into something later. That's a totally okay trade for me. So, like, this would be a one of in probably any deck that you were going to use, like Inspire or any of the legendaries that use hero powers, in my mind.
I don't know.
Just meh?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it has good potential.
Yeah.
To be a pretty good, fun card.
Let's talk about cards that have potential. Let's hop into the class cards here. Druid, 7 mana, Knight of the Wild, 6/6. Whenever you summon a beast, reduce the cost of this card by 1. We wanted beast synergy in Druid. We got it. If there's a chance for beast Druid to happen, we're getting closer and closer there. The only thing I don't have confirmed, so I was hoping you guys could tell me, sorry for putting you on the spot, does, like, Druid of the Claw count as summoning a beast? because technically you're playing the card and then it transforming. I believe it does.
It does.
I believe that counts as summon.
The choose one thing is the same as like a battle cry. It doesn't change the fact that when the card hits the board, it is a beast, whichever form you play it in.
Too. So I think it's really cool. The fact that it can stay in your hand from wherever, and just kind of sit there and get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper is really cool. It can't be silenced, which is nice. I see this as kind of more of a, mid to late game play to get, a 6/6 on for like 3 to 4 on top of like a Dr. Boom. Imagine throwing down like a Dr. Boom and a Knight of the Wild, on turn 10. It could be really insane. So I like this card. I think if Beast Druid becomes a thing, this is one of the cards that really define and separate it from the others.
Yeah, it makes me a little more excited for Savage Combatant, which I was already pretty happy with to begin with. Because that's a card now that if I use with Knight of the Wild, it's a beast with Inspire, give your hero +2 attack this turn. I can see that maybe getting played on a turn, 4 now instead of a turn 6 like I originally thought. So, cool. And having a 5/4, body on the field and making my Knight of the Wild cheaper.
Any last thoughts on that one, Kev?
Not really. I mean, I'm not as excited about it because I don't think that Beast Druid is going to be a super powerful thing. Like Savage Combatant is a card that, like JR, I'm super excited for, but it's not crazy good, and it's also, I guess, for me, not as exciting as if it had been worded the same way as Frost Giant. If this was worded the same way as Frost Giant and it was for every beast that had hit the board during the game, then it would be super powerful. But it has to sit in your hand and accrue that benefit. So if you draw it late, it's just a 6/6 for 7, which isn't great, and you're not going to be able to set up the really powerful combo. You have to play, in my mind, 2+ beasts before playing this is not a tempo liability. So I probably would not run it, to be honest.
It's all right. You're allowed to be wrong once this episode, so I'm just kidding.
That was it?
All right. That was it. That was your one time.
Okay. Good to know. I'll be right for the rest of the show.
Okay, here we go. Hunter cards. We got 2 legendaries. Lucky Hunter. First one is Acid Maw. It is a 7 mana 4/2 legendary beast. Whenever another minion takes damage, destroy it. Kevin, what is the right assessment for this card?
It's way too expensive. It's a combo card in the worst sense, right? Like you absolutely have to have an existing board or another spell or minion to play alongside it. If being able to destroy minions that took damage was viable, you'd have seen Emperor Cobra and Patient Assassin and a bunch of other stuff at some point into the meta already, not just as things that pop out of shredders. Like these two are also probably designed to be played as a combo, right? And I just don't see it. I do not think it's valuable. I do not think it's going to be effective. It's such a weird, bizarro board clear to leave behind a pair of 4/2 beasts. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, I mean, basically these 2 cards are we haven't talked about Dreadskill yet, but it's a 3 mana 4/2 at the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all other minions. I mean, at turn 10, you're talking about a board wipe, basically. That's what these cards, I think, were designed in mind. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Acid Mob, but I do like Dreadskill to a degree. I think Dreadskill will see more play. I don't think Acid Mob will see any play.
You mean Mini Baron Geddon?
Yeah, pretty much.
Geddon Light.
Let's talk about this other one. 3 mana Dreadscale. Sorry, 3 mana, 4 attack, 2 health, beast, legendary again. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all other minions. Yeah, I get right what you're saying. I think this is super non-synergistic for what Hunter does and what Hunter does really well. And I think because of that, that's why we're really confused by this. Could it bring up, like, there's a lot of Hunter cards out there that just don't see play. So could there be something sitting in there in the cobwebs of Hunter cards that, like, all of a sudden makes something a different total archetype of how Hunter works? Maybe, but I don't believe in either of these legendaries. I think even if I could run 2 of them, I never would, So
I thought it was really weird that they did 2 legendaries with hunters and then had 10 class cards for hunter, whereas everybody else had 9 with 1 legendary. And I think the reason why is because these two are meant to be kind of played together, but it just kind of really threw me for a loop when I saw that.
Yep. It sucks that they're both collectible is the other thing too, right? You have to pay to get both of them if you don't unlock them in packs to be able to use the synergy if that's something you want to do, which means that they are twice as expensive as any other class legendary. I think it would have been really nice if they were a pair, and basically when you opened one or crafted one, you got the other one as like an autocomplete of that set, right? Because otherwise it's just twice as expensive. Dreadscale, I mean, for me, doesn't do anything that Unleash the Hounds doesn't already do, basically. And I don't think that I would be willing to run the ability to do 1 damage to the rest of the board, like a whirlwind effect.
Patron enabler. Just kidding.
Yeah, right. Well, and on a beast that has the stats of Huffer without the charge. Like, I can't do it.
I think at the very least, this card should have said deal 1 damage to all other non-beast minions.
That would have been huge.
I think then you start going, oh, okay, I get it. I'm not destroying my board like Baron Geddon did. Like, that's the big drawback of Baron Geddon, why Control Warrior can get away with it, because you don't run anything at 2 health. So at least not that
damage
late.
On Acolytes and Armor Smiths and whatever else. Like, as Hunter, you can't afford to give up health on your minions.
True. So, trash. Oops.
Also,
mage.
wouldn't this be a nerf to Sneasel Shredder and the new priest card that we're getting as well? If you get Acid Maw, you're going to be very sad.
And
Acid Maw
like
could enable some cool stuff, like in the late game for those other situations out of a Sneeds or something. But yeah, as a general rule, no, I would never want to. I would never intentionally play it, so I obviously don't want it accidentally either.
Let's go ahead and talk about Mage here. We've got Ronin. He is an 8-mana, 7/7 legendary that reads Death Rattle. Add 3 copies of Arcane Missiles to your hands. JR, I'm going to let you take the floor on this one.
I like this card. I'm actually really excited about this card. A lot of people are pretty meh about this card, but I'm excited about this card because I could see a lot of fun potential with it, especially with Malygos, Flame Waker, any of those other things that can synergize really good with having 3 arcane missiles in your hand. I mean, yeah, he can be silenced. Yeah, he's a 7/7 for 8 mana, but I think it's a fun card that I'm looking forward to possibly putting in Flame Waker or something like that kind of deck.
Okay. I am going to have to politely disagree with you with an asterisk. So I think if I was going to run an 8-mana legendary, I would run Ragnaros because this card is slower than Ragnaros, right? Ragnaros has immediate board impact. I'm not waiting for a Death Rattle to happen. If it was Battle Cry, I think it would be different. I think this card's just too slow. You'd have to have like a slower tempo mage in order to, I think, really make this work. I think where we immediately go that could make this card viable is in something like a Flame Waker or, imagine Malygos, right?
Or Archmage Antonidas.
Right, Archmage too has really good synergies. So like, there's some really good synergies with cards out there right now. I just worry it's too slow, and so that's kind of my big thing.
Keep in mind, what I'm talking about is purely fun with this card. I'm not talking about if it's going to be great and constructed or anything. I just think it's a fun card.
Yeah, I mean,
totally a fun card. I agree with you on that.
I think it's got some potential, but I think it's got the potential to be sort of a closer alongside some of the other late game mage stuff in the type of mage deck that has a ton of removal, a ton of board control, runs some secrets. Like, just if you drag the game out long enough that you can drop Ronin and Antonidas and a bunch of arcane missiles and a Malygos and stuff, then yeah, I mean, you've won the game by virtue of getting that far. I don't think Ronin actually enables that. I think he's
the
just
arcane missiles aren't helping you. Yeah.
No, it fits the theme, but it's not actually solving a problem that hasn't already been solved for Mage. So
I wanted this to be Frostbolt. 3 Frostbolts. And then I would have been
3 Ice Lances, honestly, would have been better.
Oh, that's cool. I like that one too. That could be really,
right?
really dangerous. Great for freeze or just, face.
It's the same amount of damage or the ability to freeze face and a couple of minions or whatever. Like it, I don't know. I mean, that would have been more interesting for me personally. Plus, you don't run the risk of having a bunch of pings that hit things that you don't want to ping, because Lord knows nobody wants to ping anything in a patron-dominated meta. So
right. Well, yeah, that's Ronin. Any last thoughts on Ronin? Ronin was one of like the big reveals. So during this last week, we did the TGT Twitter hashtag thing, and we got 2 legendaries. Ronin was one of the 2. We're going to talk about the other one in just a couple minutes. Paladin. So we got 3 Paladin cards to talk about. First, Enter the Colosseum, a 6-mana epic spell. Destroy all minions except each player's highest attack minion. Kev, go.
Love it. Love the card. Paladin already had some super cool removal in Equality, in Consecrate. Like, there were lots of things that were really good in Paladin, but this is basically a better Brawl in my mind. Like, you give up the ability to guarantee that you wipe your opponent's board, but you also gain the ability to guarantee that your best minion stays alive. And so now you throw down, Tyrion or something that you care about, and then the next turn when your opponent tries to load the board and set up their big play, you just say no, and you kill everything except for one minion, which that's a huge opportunity. And that's scary good in my mind compared to, I mean, basically any other form of removal in the game that has any element of random or any element of leave a minion behind. Like, I would prefer this to Twisting Nether, because I get to keep my big minion, my, win condition minion on the board. So I think this features heavily from this point onwards in every mid-range and control Paladin.
I would disagree with you, sir. And I would disagree with you pretty hard. So
Why?
I don't think this card makes a whole lot of sense. I think the only time that this card makes sense is when we're in an aggro-heavy meta and you're trying to run control. It's, in my opinion, it's not going to work in mid-range or aggro. It's too slow, and I don't think there's enough like really good minions in there besides like Tyrion or whatever that you would actually try to keep. I don't think it's as good as Brawl, but it does reduce your variance. You're right. You know exactly what you're going to get out of the Brawl, which is nice, but it doesn't work to remove the big threats on your opponent's board, which is kind of the point. It kind of like gets rid of all the like the crazy stuff. Yeah, if you're going against Agridin or Mech Mage or something, could be super powerful for you to leave, Tyrion on the board or Dr. Boom on the board, and for him to have, never a 2/3 Mech Warper, right? But I personally, I don't like it. I don't think it'll see any play, and this is probably something I'm going to come up and eat. But I was actually listening to Strife Crow's analysis on it, and he kind of went on, that side of like, it may work really well in a heavy control or heal it in. He doesn't see it working, either do I. But I think I'm biased too, because I just don't like the fact that I have to pay 6 mana to let someone else's like best card survive on the board. So that's where I stand on it. Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I just look at it and think, on 6 mana, you would have used to use Equality Consecrate to wipe your opponent's board at the drawback of having all your own minions become 1 health. Now I can play this, and if he's got a board that he's loaded up with a whole, basically the only time you wouldn't play it is right after Dr. Boom hits the board. Outside of that, especially in control against control, like, your opponent's got, 4, 5, 6 big minions on the board. They're trying to build up a board of threats. They're running mech synergy and a ton of stuff hits the board all at once. You just make all but one of them go away and leave something on your own board that has its value intact. That to me is the value, is that you get to keep something for yourself with no drawback.
I'm gonna have to side with John. I'm gonna have to side with John just a little bit on this, because I think Paladin has enough like really good removal that I would rather use than this. I mean, Consecrate and Equality by themselves, or either one is good. Equality with Wild Pyromancer, I just feel like Paladin has a lot of really good removal right now that I don't see this fitting in and being better than what it already has.
There it is. Anyways,
that's fair.
That'll come in weeks to come, right? We'll know. Yeah. We're taking notes on who said what, so that we can all come and just crap on what everyone else said over the entire
Yeah,
expansion.
I get to live with that statement for the rest of my life when no one ever plays this card.
All right, so next we got the Mysterious Challenger. He's a 6 mana, 6/6 epic minion. Reads Battle Cry, put one of each secret from your deck into the battlefield. Kev?
Oh my actual god, are you kidding me? This is the best card of all time. Paladin just got the coolest secret in the whole game, and now you can run all your secrets. You don't have to worry about mad scientists getting silenced, which weren't a good tempo play in Paladin anyways. You're going to be able to pull out just a whole ream of secrets. It can't be countered unless, I mean, even with multiple Kezans, like the only counter to this in the whole game is Flare, and I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen Flare run in the last, since it got nerfed, which is none. This is going to be an incredible, incredible card, in my opinion. This is going to set up some awesome, awesome stuff for Paladin and curves beautifully. Like a 6/6 for 6 is, for Paladin, a great play, in my opinion. I think it's awesome.
JR?
I'm undecided because I think it has a potential to be really good, and but I'm not sure if the Paladin secrets are good enough. I'm looking at the Paladin secrets, and the only one that I feel is really, really good right now is the one they revealed this week. I don't know. I'm very undecided. I need to see how it plays.
All right. I'm going to agree with both of you. Am I allowed to?
Yes.
Sure.
I'm going to actually almost virtually quote Strife Crow on this because I think his analysis of the card was amazing. You can't just immediately throw like one of each secret in your deck or two of each secret in your deck because there's too much variance and too much inconsistency and too many valuable deck slots you lose. And I totally agree with him on that. However, running like 3 or 4 could be incredibly super duper dangerous, right? So, in the words of Strife Crow, if this works, Dr. Boom levels of good. If it does not work, Mogre the Ogre levels of good. So, or what was it? Trogzor level of levels of good.
Which everybody thought was going to be a really good card.
Right. Trogzor was like the one, if I can remember right, was like that was going to be the legendary, like the first one to craft, and ended up being nothing more than a cool arena card and brawl card. So
lots of fun in brawls, yeah.
That's where I stand on it.
I'm of the opinion that like enough of the Paladin secrets are good, but they were always plays that you didn't necessarily want to make of themselves because it was hard to combo anything into them. There's now enough things that interact with secrets that you can make it somewhat viable. The secrets themselves, like Noble Sacrifice into Avenge, like there's stuff that works really well within the secret ecosystem, and Paladin secrets on the whole just haven't been played. But when you can play them for free, like we all lost our minds at how powerful Mad Scientist has become. This is Mad Scientist on crack. I can't imagine a world in which, if any of the Paladin secrets are playable, you don't run this.
Stole Jay makes a good point, especially when the expansion launches, is going to have an awesome like surprise factor until we find a deck that's going to like net deck everything. So
totally.
I also think if this was in Hunter or Mage, this card would be immensely overpowered and would be talking about how great it is. But since it's in Paladin and their secrets aren't that great, that's why I'm kind of on the edge of
Totally.
Yeah, it's good but not unreal.
I think it only can be one or the other, right? For me personally, I think it's either the best card that Paladin gets ever in the history of the game, or meh. But let's go into Competitive Spirit really quick. It's a 1-mana rare spell secret. 1-mana rare secret. When your turn starts, give your minions +1/+1. Really quick, round the horn. JR. Yes, no, good, bad.
It's the best secret in the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin.
It's the most playable secret in the game. It's the only secret with no drawback. It's the only secret that doesn't have a trigger condition that your opponent controls. I think that makes it incredibly good.
Cool.
Here's a scenario I'm going to give. Muster for battle with the secret. Or anything else that fills your board with the secret.
If your board stays alive to next turn. But yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the only downside of like it starting on your turn is you do give your opponent a little bit of initiative on, maybe I leave one crappy, maybe I can leave one crappy card up and, just give you a +1/+1. But even that +1/+1 for 1 isn't the worst thing in the world. With 3 or 4, I mean, that's Blessing of Kings for 1, right? Yeah. So really interesting. Let's hop over to Priest here because we have 3 cards to talk about with Priest as well. Let's talk about the legendary first. Confessor Palatrus, right? Yep. Confessor Palatrus, 7 mana, 5 attack, 4 health, reads Inspire, summon a random legendary minion. Dangerous. JR? Nope.
I was trying to decide if this was the best card in the set or not, and it might be.
Okay.
It's going to be a 9-drop because you play it on 9, you get this, and you get another legendary. If the other legendary happens to be this, that is insane. Because in Pandemonium.
Yep. That's also the next Hearthstone expansion, by the way.
Probably.
Oh, God.
Kevin, what do you think about Palatrus here?
Well, okay, so you basically have to, like you said, treat it as a 9-drop, right? For 9, you would expect to get a way better stat block than 5/4. With the notable exceptions of like the really bad 2-drop legendaries and a couple of other sucky outliers, every other legendary that could hit the board would be huge. It would be just a massive benefit, right? And it's not like Sneeds. It can't be silenced right away. If you play this and you've got any ability to set up combo, which of all classes, Priest can set up combos, this is where you're going to pull out your garrison commander. It's where you're going to pull out your fencing coach. It's where you're going to try and make a combo where you drop this and have 4 legendary minions on the board in 1 turn, vary in style, and we'll come back to that later. There is obviously the huge liability of the random factor, but what legendary would you not want to draw other than like I said, like the 2-drops? Outside of the 2-drop legendaries, what legendary wouldn't you want to see hit the board when you play this?
Right. I agree. I don't like it. That's all I'm going to say. I think Sneeds is a perfect example of why I don't think this is the best card. Really exciting card. It's going to be a really fun card to see play. Awesome YouTube factor. Too much variance. As Kevin is the king of hating variance, I'm going to use Kevin's words against him on this one and say...
See, I really like Sneeds, but I feel like Sneeds' downfall is that you don't really control it. Yeah, as much, you don't control when it's going to pop. This you control because you do it on turn 9 and you get another legendary. Sneeds, they can potentially do something like silence it or something like that, and then you don't get the effect. And even then, I still think Sneeds is a fine card.
It is fine. I'm not saying this is bad, but I think this is fine at best.
Well, okay, just some quick math because you're the kind of person that appreciates this. There are 87 legendaries in the current collectible set now, right? 87 cards. Of those 87 cards, more than half of them have a mana cost of 6 or higher, right? Way more than half. There are only, 10 that have a cost lower than 4, 13 that have a cost lower than 5. So basically, you have a 6 in 7 chance of getting a 6 mana minion for 2 mana when you use Inspire after your Confessor Palatrus hits the board, and that presumes that she dies the next turn. Which, yes, she probably will, but basically, as long as you get 1 minimum Inspire off of this that isn't a 2 or a 3-drop, you've come out way ahead, way ahead.
Or you give him a Millhouse.
But the Millhouse effect wouldn't apply because it's a battle cry, right? There's a lot of things here that are really very powerful.
That's true. I'm still cautious on this one.
It's as good as Bane of Doom, and Bane of Doom appears in every demon deck now.
I haven't seen it that much anymore. But anyways, let's keep jumping on. We'll find out what comes on later here. We're going to skip Shadow Fiend here, and we're going to jump into Power Word Glory. It's a 1 mana spell, says choose a minion whenever it attacks, restore 4 health to your hero. I think this is kind of cool. JR?
I can see it getting a good amount of play with the other 1 mana casting the I can't remember the name of it now, the one that gives you a +2 and draw a card.
Power Word Shield.
Power Word Shield. Thank you. I could see it getting play like that. A lot of play like that. I can also see it never getting play like the Paladin version, which you put on a creature and then when it attacks, you draw a card.
I agree. I think it's definitely a nice aggro stopper. It's at the very least saying every time you attack, restore 4 health, like whatever. It's kind of more like 4 armor than anything. But yeah, Kev?
I mean, Priest is already the class that had the most buff spells, the most cheap spells within reason. I mean, kind of Paladin is competitive, but a lot of the Paladin spells aren't as playable. This is going to be super good in combination with the new 3-mana legendaries, Lightbane and Darkbane. There's lots of places where I think it's going to have a lot of potential. It's a crazy aggro stopper if you draw it in the early game, slap it on your opponent's Huffer, and all of a sudden every time it attacks, it zeroes out. Like, it has the ability to help the Priest sustain, whether it's cast on a friendly minion or an enemy minion. I think it's probably one of the best cheap cards coming out of the new set. Like, for its rarity, I would say it's the best, like the best 1-drop. It's the best common card. It's going to be really good. It's going to give Priest a lot of legs that they don't have right now against aggro. That's my feel.
All right, let's jump into Shaman. Shaman, 6-mana legendary, the Mistcaller. 4 attack, 4 health. Battlecry, give all minions in your hand and deck +1/+1. Holy shoot. This is, definitely going to get played day one. And in my opinion, looks like the strongest legendary we've ever seen in the game. Kevin.
It's super good. The only reason I'm leery about it at all is, one, it's super easy to remove. So you have to play it in a game where you're going to be able to keep up. Like, you have to be able to make the short-term tempo loss of playing it not a liability, and you have to draw it early to get value out of it, right?
Totally. It has to be on curve for sure.
Yeah. 2, Shaman plays a lot of spells, and they don't get this benefit on totems. They don't get this benefit on Feral Spirit. They don't get this benefit on anything that comes out of a spell. So Shaman would have to sort of develop into a slightly more tempo-based class than it is right now. I see a lot of people trying to bounce it. I see a lot of people using this as a way to counter Freezing Trap. I see them using it as a way to justify playing the pandas and bounce it back and play it multiple times. That could be silly broken, because the Youthful Brewmaster is already an acceptable 2-play. If you put it in your deck because of this and a few other clutch plays to keep yourself alive, that's going to be really good, because you could play it with Loatheb. You could play it with Alakir, right? There's lots of things in Shaman that could be bounced very efficiently. I think it's going to be really good, but you're going to have to build your whole deck to this one card.
Okay. JR, really quick, what do you think?
I think it has potential to be the best. With you, I think it has potential to be the best legendary in the game so far. I really like the mechanic that it affects the cards in your deck. That, I think, is really cool, and I hope to see some more of this. It has the potential to be extremely, extremely broken, though. If they have to be careful with this mechanic. With because
I don't think you'll see this mechanic on other cards.
Didn't Eric Dodds once say, we like to design cards that when we release it scares us? I think this is one of those cards. I think Thorson was another card.
It is. Lock and Load was the example they used for that, yeah.
Let's talk about this Shaman spell really quick. Elemental Destruction, 3-mana epic. Deal 4 to 5 damage to all minions. Overload 5. So it's a Flame Strike split in half, kind of, with potential added bonus. Really effective. Probably the AoE that Shaman needs. I'm a big fan of it. Kev?
I think...
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I love it. I think this is cool because on the turn you play it, you can blow the whole board up and then slap some other stuff down to defend yourself from whatever's coming next. It's going to basically mandate playing... Is it Lava Shock that unlocks?
Yep.
Yeah, so you're going to have to play Lava Shock, I think, because of this card. Because Overload 5 is the same as... No, it's the worst Overload in the game. It's the worst Overload in the game by a huge margin. Yep. Way more so than Earth Elemental or anything else. I want to run this card, and I think looking at these 2 cards in tandem, looking at the way that Shaman is going to play in the future, Shaman is going to have big sustain. Shaman is going to build a fast, scary board with tons of totems and put on the pressure and be able to trade really efficiently. And then if something backfires, they slap down elemental destruction, wipe the board, and have Mistcaller come out and make all their minions bigger as the game goes on. Like, it's gonna have crazy potential, is my feel.
Cool.
Yep. It's Shaman's Flame Strike, basically.
Totally.
With a little bit of a downside, but if you have the right cards, it's not that much of a downside. You're not going to see this. Yeah, for 3 mana, you're not going to see this played on turn 3, though.
Right.
You're going to see this played late game.
You play this and boom on the same turn. Wipe the board and put boom down. Like,
yeah,
it's true.
And
I personally think that you play this in Lava Shock.
Yep.
Like right then and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even 5 mana to deal 5 damage or 4 damage, for sake of argument, on variance to the whole board, like, that's just a better Hellfire.
I think it is too. I totally agree with you. Let's jump into the last card we're going to talk about here before we close up the night. Varian Rin, the King. He is a 10 mana 7/7. Go ahead and go. Just kidding. There's more. Battle Cry. Draw 3 cards. Put any minions you drew directly into the battlefield. Really quick, Kev. Good, bad, ugly, awesome. What is it?
Unreal. Probably the best card in Warrior, if not the best card in the game. A 7/7 is awesome. It's a super powerful minion, even in the late game, even though you have to play it on turn 10. Drawing 3 cards for 3 mana is the best draw costing that's ever occurred. Getting to play them for free if they're minions is out of this world good. I am going to rebuild the entirety of my Control Warrior deck around this card because I'm going to pick minions that have immediate board impact, that don't have any conditionals, that don't rely on battle cries. I am going to build a whole deck to make this card as efficient and effective as possible. And playing it is never going to be incorrect. Like, basically, as long as you don't have it as the last card in your deck, it's the best card in the game. Full stop.
Right. JR?
I 100% agree. I think Mistcaller has potential to be the best legendary in the game, but we'll have to see how it plays out. This already is probably one of the best legendaries in the game if the Mistcaller doesn't pan out.
Right.
Just for the fact, bam, three cards drawn. And if they're minions, bam, on the board. I mean, it's just so many levels of good.
I mean, you pay 8 mana to play Lay on Hands to heal a little bit of health and get 3 cards. This is the same effect for 2 more mana, except that you get a 7/7 body on the board, plus every other card that it draws that's a minion hits the board immediately. Those can be minions with charge. Those can be minions that affect the board state. Those can be minions that have end of turn effects, like Thaurissan, like Ysera. Ragnaros, which has disappeared out of Warrior and now will be like a mandatory play in Warrior.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
I mean, I can see this in Control Warrior with Ragnaros and Ysera. And if you get both of those, that is nuts. If you get one of them, it's still nuts.
Even if you don't get anything that hits the board, you drew 3 cards.
Exactly.
How else can you draw 3 cards in like right now? The only draw engines in Warrior are Shield Block and Acolyte of Pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
can't think of anything else that draws in Warrior ever.
Yeah, there's no
like Battle Rage in Patron, whatever. But like for a late game card to offer this body and this much draw would be unheard of itself before the hit the board effect.
There's no downside to this card, in my opinion.
Of any of the legendaries with a downside, that is one of the smallest downsides that you can really imagine. It's kind of just like boombots are bad because sometimes you only get 1 damage on them. You know, it's like,
but that doesn't make it
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's an awesome card as well.
Yeah. The only time I would be upset is if Alexstrasza gets drawn, but then I still have an 8/8 on the board as well.
Totally. Well, boys, we got to skip emails this week, unfortunately. We're a little bit over, but we're going to get to them next week. And honestly, I think it might be a better chat to do it next week anyway. But thank you for all your emails. We read every single one, try our best to respond or answer them on the show. They really add a lot. Hope you guys enjoyed our TGT breakdown these last couple weeks, because now we won't be going over specific cards really anymore. So
we'll be playing them.
We'll be playing them, hopefully, this week or next week. We'll see who's right, JR or Kevin. We're going to start a tally. I'm going to have a whiteboard in the back. With just like right and wrong
well
calls.
Bet bets. Well
there
bets.
It is. Well bets. Well bets. Cool. So yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out in the chat room today. Guys, we broke 130 this evening. So That was kind of cool.
Viewership for a live show ever. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool. I was worried. We're at like 26 in the pre-show. So thank you guys so much. We're going to go ahead and go through stuff at the end of the show. But first, let's do some shout-outs. Kev, any shout-outs?
Nothing crazy this week. Just going to be busy at work. I got a chance to sit in on Team Liquid's Strat Chat. They're doing a new show once every 2 weeks that covers sort of major design decisions happening in StarCraft. So I guested on that yesterday. The VOD should be coming up right away. So if you're a StarCraft fan, I would ask that you check that out and let me know what you thought. Other than that, gonna try to get back to streaming a little bit this week once I get my Hearthstone groove back on. So if you want to join me, twitch.tv/OdinTV, be Heroes, Hearthstone, WoW, a little bit of StarCraft, get in there and let's hang out.
Awesome. JR, what about you?
I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Kadistra on Twitter. She is the one that made a pretty awesome BlizzPro mascot. It's like a Yeti with a suit holding like a Hearthstone card. You guys will be seeing it sometime soon whenever we get, or we're going to get on like made on some t-shirts and stuff. So be on the lookout for that. It's really cool looking.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw it. It is incredible. Cannot wait for it to happen.
Yep.
Yeah. As for me, school starts this week, so I'm a little bit nervous with all the different stuff I'm going to have going on with school, work, the podcast. But huge shout out to everyone in the chat. As always, it's always awesome to be hanging out with you guys every week in crisp, clear video. Always fun talking and going through stuff like that. We're on all the good stuff. Thanks to our mods helping out this week. And shout out to Jake Butno. He does our music over at jakebutno.ca. If you like our intro and outro, you need to go check out his website because he has so much more with that up on his SoundCloud. So good. Huge shout out to Dreadscythe. We were just talking about how awesome our logo has kind of been fitted and how our layouts and stuff look really good now. So huge thanks to him. He does it all. He does it around quick. You can find it at scythedesigns.com. As always, we're always doing stuff with our Patreon. Lots of cool stuff. Again, Fade to Karma this month. If you contribute $5 or more in the month of August, you could be put into a drawing for a hour-long training session with a professional Hearthstone player. And those Fade to Karma guys do not mess around. We're over at Twitter at Well Met Podcast and on YouTube at youtube.com/BlizzPro. Of course, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, all that other kind of crazy stuff in there. I'm using Overcast now exclusively, so we're on there as well. If you like the show, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review. They really help us. We love reading them every week, and every week that we get 3 5-star reviews or more, Kevin reads it in a girl voice. So that'll be great. So I just made that up right there.
No idea. All right.
You're welcome. So just kidding. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. We will catch you next week. Same time, same place. And yeah. Trying to think of anything else. I can't really think of anything else.
And give us some reviews. I want to hear Kevin's girl voice.
Kevin's girl voice.
You know what? If we get 3 or more 5-star reviews, I will give you girl voice readings. And quick reminder, guys, the Well Met merchandise store is coming very soon. Our Patreon broke $200. We've got some stuff in the works. The store is almost ready. All of our backers will get exclusive early access. So if you want to get a t-shirt or any of the cool stuff that we're going to put out with the new logo on it, that's going to happen very soon. And I hope you guys are as excited as we are. So stay tuned.
Job's done.
You can find John on Twitter at KickedTripod and on Twitch at twitch.tv/KickedTripod. You can find JR on Twitter at Eldorian and on Twitch at twitch.tv/BlizzPro. And you can find Kevin on Twitter at Lack of Realism and on Twitch at twitch.tv/OdinTV.
These are my 5-star reviews by Kevin.
BlizzPro.com. Beyond Noob.
John, your imitation is awful.
That was horrible.